Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Sports Scope. Yes, we are live here on all links, and this program will be replayed this evening. Got Carlos, Mad New Yorker, Chavez back behind stage. Going to ask him a little bit about the Saquon Barkley situation is being discussed on this early edition of Hard Knocks. That we've never had Hard Knocks come out in July. This behind the scenes situation there with the Hard Knocks folks and whatnot. Also got the going to ask him about all this NBA free agency. LeBron just signed another 2-year deal with the player option there to stay with the Lakers. Paul George, the Vegas really loving the 76ers and whatnot. A lot of other free agent news out there, including the Celtics being for sale and whatnot. So happy 4th of July, everybody. Let's take our first and only break. We'll be back here 49 seconds, and we'll hit the ground running here on Sports, the real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, and we're back, and Carlos is on time. What's up, man? Happy 4th of July there, brother.
Happy 4th of July to you. Happy 4th to everybody. Enjoy your day off. Enjoy your grilling. Enjoy your fireworks. Enjoy your family. Make sure you do your thing and be safe about it.
And be safe. Yeah. You know something? I've always wondered about those 4th of July stands, man. I mean, you just wonder if I guess they turn a profit because they're everywhere. You know, those fireworks stands that you see on the side of the road. And I thought, man, but I was reading that they order this stuff way ahead of time.
Right.
And they usually turn about, the people that are smart, about 3 times the profit of what they paid for it. They order from overseas and stuff. Like it's like China or something. I mean, you see all these fireworks say Chinese, but didn't want to get too much in that discussion. It was just pretty interesting. A lot of stuff. I'm really on that TikTok out now. And David Spades, what was that movie he played in? It was really funny. Oh man, we had the mullet.
Oh, what's it called?
I don't know why it's so early. My coffee. Joel Dirt, yeah. You got any of these, those sort of blah, 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 the kick, yeah.
The mem-80s and all that. Like,
yeah. The dangerous stuff.
When you said that, I just go back to, I remember there's this guy by the Super Walmart on Wilma Rudolph, back when Kmart was back there in that corner.
Yeah.
That he's smoking, like he just got a cigarette in his mouth, and he's like, rah, 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 like, you know, he's talking to folks, and he's got a cigarette hanging on the side of it. I'm like,
probably don't even.
I was like, this guy don't.
Ashes.
Like, this guy's one bad rah, 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 from talking and lighting himself up and seeing the Lord sooner than he thought he would. But whatever.
Man, you gonna get some cancer doing that, brother. I tell you.
Either way, he was gonna get it, right?
Either way,
he's gonna get it. So, wow.
I tell you what, this is the best format of. I mean, you're up in New York. I've watched the last night, pretty late, but I did watch the Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. This edition of Hard Knocks that goes back to the off season. This takes place with The Office. This is more about the discussion of free agency and what to do with a guy like Saquon Barkley. And it talked about after week 5, for example, Daniel Jones tore her neck injury, which is I didn't realize it was a neck injury after week 5 against the Miami Dolphins. And he talks about that they've had 3 offensive line guys that were on the line after that point. They were practice squad players.
Yeah,
I mean, and then later on, it fast forward, you talk about the discussion of a guy like a Saquon Barkley, what to pay him. He's wanting the 12.5. Right. They want to play closer to half of that, or maybe a $7 million and some change. And my question to you is, look how good the line. It's not as great as was last year, but look how good the line is at Philadelphia. Could this be a Christian McCaffrey type of experience that we see, or effect that we have with Barkley running behind that offensive line?
Yeah, so I was trying to get the ratings from the Pro NFL about the Eagles line. They lose Kelsey in the center, and they lose another guy through trade.
Yeah,
they had a little bit of issues even with those 2 guys on the line on the left side. And when I say a little bit, I mean like that line had towards the end of the games, their line had some issues, and then and they don't know whether to blame the line or to blame the blame the quarterback if he had
the coordinator that they fired.
No, not the coordinator, but the quarterback. They didn't know if he was really injured or was he suffering some kind of ailment.
Hurts
on they didn't know if he was hurt or he was playing.
He's playing banged up all the time.
Right, he's playing banged up. Right?
So, yeah.
I don't know if you can blame these guys on the O-line about what was going on there in Philadelphia. But my thing is, they have a complete new coaching staff over there. Saquon brings a good running back situation. He can run, he can catch, he can block a little bit better than some other RBs. It's all going to depend on what the coordinator is going to throw out there and how these players are going to react to having a better running game, right? Because the idea is to have a better running game. Not to say that their running game wasn't that great, but we couldn't. Remember, we were on the show and we're like, are they going to run the ball or are they going to just scheme to throw small little short passes? Like, they had 2 running backs, so now they're going to they have this one running back. They're going to change their idea. What the thing is, how is the coordinator going to come out with an identity for this offense? And is Barkley going to be part of that identity, or is he just going to be a player on the field? Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what the Eagles have to figure out. I feel like because everything's new, Barkley's first year, he ain't going to be a top 5 running back, but he'll still be a top 10 running back. He's still going to get his. He's got. Because of his size and his football mentality, he's still going to get his. And I say that because everybody's complaining about the Giants and this and that and their O-line this, but he was still a top-rated running back with the O-line being the way it was, right?
Remember, he could squeeze through a non-hole and make it a hole.
Right. So
and great receiver too,
Yeah, and everybody was talking about Neal and all those people on the O-line for the Giants. Is he worth it? Is he, was he one of the worst picks ever? It's like, how can you say that if you have a top 5 running back of anybody on that Giants line? How can you say they were a bust or not when this guy's still putting out numbers? The only person who wasn't putting out numbers, and the one person who shouldn't have got paid was Daniel Jones. Right? Yeah, he's been mediocre or even less than mediocre as a top-rated pick quarterback, comparatively speaking to the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So he's
a very clumsy. I mean, there was a guy on the X app that people put all these stats out there, right. And they put his career against a guy like Trevor Lawrence and saying that everything is similar. That's one of those you have to watch the game to really get the proper context of it. Because when he throws, sometimes I'm just holding my breath. Or when he runs, I don't know if he's going to trip over his own feet and injure himself. Yeah, he's still making those mistakes later on in his career.
and I think that happens because when you see a guy make a mistake like that in football, and they don't play. Their schedule isn't 100 some odd games. Their schedule's smaller. So when you see guys make mistakes more than twice or 3 times in 3 different weekends, and you're like, man, this guy is, come on. But my comparison to the rest of the quarterbacks that I have, from my opinion, comes from the fact that they put in a guy like Tommy DeVito, they put in the backup quarterback that they had, and they had got just as good as stats or even better than Daniel Jones, right? So and they had the same weapons and the same O-line. So I'm not trying to say that Daniel Jones will never be a good quarterback, because sometimes it takes time for these guys to develop to get on a team that they're comfortable on and to let their skills shine, right? Because his number one skill that people tend to forget was he can run the ball. Yeah. Right? So he's a running quarterback. So and then Saquon was a running back. So when you had those two linebackers, they come in too fast. You know, Daniel Jones had all day to run to try to get to the second line, right? So those kind of
he's got to be a controlled runner, you know.
Yeah.
And that's my thing about him. He still play a little bit out of control.
He just holds the ball too long as well. So like those kind of things those are things that when he works on and he keeps playing, he'll get better at. But again, expectations that we have in New York and the fact that he was drafted number 1, like, I don't think you need 3 years, man. I don't think you need 4. It's just, in the first 2 years, if you showed us that you could do it and be the man, then fine, you could stay. But he got lucky that on his 4th year, he had a decent season, and they gave him the money because of the one season.
That's true.
So what I see from the show, to take it back to the show, is like I see Schoen trying to cover himself because he stepped in it. He stepped in it, and he's smelling it, and he's done. Once Daniel Jones leaves, and
how much was that Mr. Mara pushing to extend Jones, you think?
I don't, whether he wanted it or not, and I sat here, and I'm not even part of the.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, really? It's good, wasn't it?
It's good. It's okay. But again, I'm coming from the side that I didn't like the fact that Mara got these Buffalo guys. So I'm on the other end of this spectrum.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then people are like, well, this explains a lot. And like, yeah, it explains the fact that this guy still, as much as he's a GM and he's a young GM, he doesn't have enough experience.
Right.
And I sat here with no experience, and I told you the best thing the Giants could do was to get rid of both of them if it was a financial situation. Right? I sat here and I said that. If you can't keep one, or you can't keep the other because you're in a financial situation because you signed 4 or 5 players a year before, right? The consequence is you just cut everybody out and you start new. Plus, you come in new. You're a new GM. You got a new coach, right? You pick guys that you hope you can build something with, and they didn't do that. And to me, that shows the lack of experience, the lack of just of being in an office and saying, okay, let me just start everything. Right? And people get mad. Fans will get mad because there'll be a lot of names out there that you want to be, that you want around. But there's nothing wrong with letting go of Saquon. And even if you want to bring him back, you can bring him back whenever you have money.
That's true, man.
You tagged him, your quarterback was still mediocre. Then you don't want to sign him.
It's just the truth. I mean, what you're saying, it's he's really living off that last year, not last year, but year before last there. 22 and 23, where they had his really big stats against playing the Minnesota Vikings twice. One being in a playoff game where they won. It was on the road. There is a possibility that Brian Daboll could be on the hot seat this year if things don't go well.
Yeah, and then they talk about choosing a player like Neighbors, having somebody that can rack up like stats.
Yeah, he's a big.
The Giants don't need stats on the offense. They need to be able to score and win games. They need to be able to score to win games, right? Like there's not one team out there that doesn't understand that you have to score, that you have to have the highest score to win the game. Like, and if you can't do that, if you're averaging 7 to 8 points for first 4 weeks of football, and then your average jumps up to 12, the last part of football, you're not going to win games. Like I sit here and tell you every year for the last 5 years or the last 4 years when we talk and and we've been in and out of the show.
Yeah, of course.
If you don't score 27 points or more, you're not going to win a football game.
Yeah, it's right? An offensive league there, and I will say this, going back to watching Hard Knocks. I do like the fact that they did move on from Barkley and brought in Devin Singletary. And I'll add to what, not in the Hard Knocks show, but what they done. They saved that money and gave a $30 million contract to former Green Bay Packer John Runyon. To put him on the offensive line. And they brought another guy in from the Raiders there. Andrew Thomas, the left tackles, he's the only thing that they could really hang their hat on last year. Everybody else is expendable on that offensive line. So if you look at it that way, with the expectations, with the addition of a big play, I think Neighbors is the closest thing to a lock they have as a dynamic player who's going to hit day one. I really do think that about Neighbors. Now, everybody else, Wallard retired. So you
if we were to rank the wide receivers and how much they really help their team, right? And how much you're paying them or not paying them, depending on what their contract's like, right? You have Jefferson, right? Minnesota.
Yes. Making a fortune.
Yeah, now he's going to make a fortune. But even with Jefferson on your team, how many times did they get to the playoffs?
Well, 2. Is it 2? Okay.
Right. And then how far did they get to the playoffs just with him being a tool?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I told you it's a quarterback-driven league. Yeah.
So even if you get into the playoffs, which Daniel Jones took the Giants,
they could slide in there with those defensive upgrades.
Yeah, it's you got to score points. Now, when everybody knew that Barkley was the only weapon he had, so it's not that he's not stopped. It's not that he's not. You can't stop him, but you know how he plays football, so it's easier to gear and manage him defensively. With Jefferson, he's so fast, he can do anything. He's explosive, right? So if you compare those two as offensive weapons, fine. But even with those two offensive weapons, those two teams didn't make it far into the playoff. Those weapons help you if you use them and you're scoring points, right? If you miss a field goal, right? If you miss a field goal, and you got, some of these.
They'll be much better next year than last. I mean, last year you were in your third string quarterback.
Yeah.
What happened to Tommy DeVito now? He's down there selling hot dogs at the 4th of July stand now, or what?
He's slinging sandwiches in New Jersey, but still, like, my thing is this: with the Jets and the Giants this year in New York, I still believe they're not going to win more than 7 games.
They'll both be about 500, my guess, but who knows? Who knows? Because the Giants always do good when you don't expect them to do anything.
Well, I don't think that's true because they haven't done that.
They could finish past the Cowboys this year. They luck up and do things. That's how they roll.
Are they going to go to the Super Bowl?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
they go to the Super Bowl.
I don't care if they get into the first round of the playoff. Like that. I want to care about the Giants and I want to see them in a Super Bowl because that's how much money.
Yeah.
They're asking for to support this team. You know what I'm saying?
That is true, man. To a little bit of free agency, NBA free agency here. Let's see. I don't even know where to start. Okay, we'll start with yesterday's news. LeBron James, 2 years, $100 million contract there. Made over $500 million. What's your thoughts about him? I know a lot of people expected the Lakers to make all these big moves. They brought in J.J. Redick and LeBron's son at the end of the day and Dalton Kincaid in the draft. Missed out on guys like, I don't think they're going to get Trae Young. They didn't get Klay Thompson. Thoughts on them signing LeBron? It's really kind of awkward, isn't it? I mean,
I think Rich Paul
with him running the team to this level is crazy, right?
Well, I think Rich Paul and LeBron have always had this synergy and this idea of the 2-year/3-year option since he got back to Cleveland, where it was like it doesn't matter what team you go to, LeBron, just do the 2-year and get money, and if you have to, you can get out. And I feel like, to be honest with you, that actually helps owners as well as it helps the players, right? And I feel like that's the kind of like structure that Major League Baseball players should use too. Like, just go for the 2, get your upfront cash, If it works, it works. You stay.
Yeah, he's a player option. He's barely 1 year to 1 year. He has a player option after next year. So.
Right. And then he has a no trade clause. So it doesn't matter. Like
he's got like his perfect contract.
Right, right. So like, but these are things that help. As much as it helps a player, it also helps a team, right? Yeah. It's going to help the Lakers in the long run. Now the Lakers couldn't go out and not sign him because he brings so much money to the table. As far as ticket sales, endorsements, the name itself is worth 5 basketball players more than just going out there. So and Jeanie Buss needs that kind of money because she ain't gonna get it in any other way, right? So if you have a moneymaker, you got to make sure you can the moneymaker stays at home. So what were the Lakers gonna do that would have made them better, where they weren't gonna hurt themselves more? And because that they already have those 2 contracts with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah, I would have tried to move off LeBron and went after.
Yeah, you can't just It's not like you can't just move off of somebody who's making you not like all your money. You know what I'm saying? Like
Jeanie Buss, technically the poorest coach or owner in the league,
right? And
I still think if anybody should sell, it should be the Lakers. But
think about
I think what you're saying to 110%. This is 90% tickets sales for this year.
Think about this, and I know it's another sport, but think about this. When Ken Griffey left Seattle, when he left the Mariners, like they were just whatever the Mariners do, nobody cared anymore. That's how much Ken Griffey was. His name meant something. His name had so much value, right? So
they ended up bringing him back, if you recall.
Well, so when he
was way done.
Yeah, but then when he went to Cincinnati, it was like, okay, like they had people buying tickets for 4 or 5 years. You think, season tickets. So like those kind of things, man. I know it's business and not sports, but it matters. And a guy like LeBron, who's on his tail end, how much money he's going to bring in if they start doing retirement games in a year or two when he retires.
Like the Kobe thing.
Yeah, like the Kobe thing. So when they're going to be on TV more, they're going to be on TV more. And so all those the revenue streams are almost endless when you have a player like LeBron James, because he's the living legacy who hasn't retired yet, right?
Yeah.
So, and everybody who's anybody, I'm going to go out to the next game if they're playing, and I'm going to watch to say I saw LeBron play. Like,
I would. I never got a chance to see Jordan play.
Right.
And never got a chance to see LeBron. The NBA's been pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive.
So, and their seats fluctuate. They don't.
Yeah.
It's not like baseball. It's pretty much the same price.
No, actually, baseball does that now.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, if I don't want to say nothing, but like when the Yankees come to Citi Field, those tickets fly from $50 to almost $90.
Wow.
The same seats. If you're in a $50,
it was the best deal I got in town, getting a bleacher seat at the Yankees. Like
back in the day, yeah. But no, like, but baseball aside, going back to basketball, and so I mean, this works for the Lakers. Eventually, will work for the Lakers, and it's LeBron James, and he's going to stay with the team. He's going to retire with the team. We all speculate that. We all kind of understand that's going to happen, and and it's what it is, man. Like, so he did good for himself. Now he gets an opportunity to play with his son. Maybe not this year, but next year, because it just depends on how everything works out for Bronny. And it's the Lakers have their little piece to have some kind of revenue to get to get the media in there and get them more games on TV, right? I mean, even though they were already on TV a lot because of LeBron James, but now it's even more. Now it's going to be like
name brand team. Yeah, they may make some more moves between now and the trade deadline.
Yeah, and the moves they're going to make, which are going to be on the low end, will probably help him on the back end, because LeBron too, you can't just bring in people and he's not used to them playing in, and and you don't want to feel like you just spent $15 million to bring a player in, and now LeBron doesn't want to play with him, So
yeah, and quite frankly, I don't know if they could have sold a free agent to go there. Say for instance, if Jeanie Buss woke up last Friday just before free agent and said, "We're going to do away with LeBron," excuse me, I don't think they could have done anything. Because it's LeBron's coach. You've got LeBron's friend that's the agent for for a lot of the players on the staff with Anthony Davis and Rich Paul. He has really got, I think it was Doug Gottlieb says he's that kid. You've got kids. I don't, but it's just pretty funny. I've known this growing up, that when you bring him over your kid's house and they're playing, the toys are scattered all over the place and it takes forever to clean up. He's that one kid that really destroys the basketball organization.
Yeah, I mean,
and that was years ago. And I'm thinking, man, this is the same thing.
Yeah, the Lakers still have to get move D'Angelo Russell. They still have to move players around.
I would try to move Russell possibly.
And it's hard because they're going to be harder to move, but you need to make a team and you need to make it better. And you start with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and then you got to work your way around, see what you can get.
Yeah, that's true. Paul George is now 76er, and I sent you that thing on that screenshot of the 76ers are 1, 2, 3, the fourth best favorite in the whole league, behind Boston, Oklahoma City, and Denver. Slightly a favorite over the Knicks to win the finals. I mean, where is all this love coming for Paul George? Daryl Morey makes headlines again, right?
He does. And how many championships has Morey won?
0.
He's very consistent in doing what he does, and he's also consistent in not winning championships. And if you're a betting person, stay away from Philadelphia. Stay away from that. And I've said it 3 years ago. They should have blown that team up. They finally got pieces out, but the one piece that's the most important, that they're paying the most, that handicapped this team, is Joel Embiid. Yes. And if he gets to play more than 50 games this year and still be an MVP candidate, good for him. But I don't know if that's going to happen. He played last year in the playoffs with a bum leg and almost still got over playing with the Knicks. But how long can he do that? This guy, they need to protect him from himself. I would sit him out the first.
What do you think that
30 games
Vegas is so high on them, man?
It's just something. They're just trying to get people excited about the NBA and get betting going.
Because they're a big market team.
There's no way if you're a betting person, you're going to put money on that. The only one person I see lasting more than 60 games on that roster is Maxey. And
that's what I said on the program. That's what I would be celebrating if I'm the 76ers, that he got a 5-year extension. Paul George is 34 years old.
You know how many games he's played since he left Indiana? How many games he's played every season?
How many?
Less than 70.
Yeah. I made this point on the program the other day. He played 74 last year.
Yeah.
The last time he played over 70 was ironically his free agent last year at Oklahoma City.
Right.
In the meantime, we're talking 55, 60 games there of Paul George, and you don't know if he's going to be injured in the playoffs or not.
So between him and Embiid, knowing that they're going to be sitting down watching Maxey play, why is the bet so high? Right. And I don't.
Yeah.
As much as I like basketball and I want to see these guys be successful, Robert.
Me too.
When I saw all those trades go to the Phoenix Suns, what did I tell you? They was closer to the emergency room than it was to a championship. Right? Yeah. And what happened? Did they get anywhere? Did they do anything?
that hungry Minnesota team went through them like a hot knife through butter.
So, and you say to me, man, you like those young teams, those young players. Yeah. I like the.
Well, you want infants. I want guys that are in their prime, like 26 to 28. Under 30 is okay.
It can't happen like that
You want everybody to be like 21. You want everybody to be like OKC.
No. And to be honest with you, OKC was one of the youngest teams that I didn't like, and they won the most games. And I didn't like because I felt like they had 3 players there, and they had a coach there, and he was trying to do things, and you could tell that he's trying to build a culture. But you could tell that those 3 players are not comfortable, right? You could tell that they want more freedom. So, they want to do more things. They want to, be more open.
You see, they got Hartenstein. And by the way, their odds is second behind Boston. They're favored over Denver. I don't know if I believe that yet.
Yeah, well, because they got Caruso, which I don't think was a big.
Well, Hartenstein's huge though. Because,
and then they got
Harden's kind
Hartenstein.
of a thin guy, you know.
My thing for that is, those two guys will always be known as backup players. So now they're going to push them to be more than backup players because they're going to be games that they're going to have to start and carry the team. And I think Hartenstein is on a like you said, it's getting up there on a prime. And he's
in his career, yeah, he's like 26.
Yeah, and he's a hard worker, and he's deserving of that contract. To be honest with you,
I think it was a very good move. I kind of wish that the Knicks would have found a way.
Yeah, I mean,
him, you know.
Yeah, and the one problem the Knicks have is they still have Randall. So with him being on the team, and he needs that much money, and they're handcuffed with him being on the team because they have to give him so much money contract wise. But with OKC making that move for Hartenstein, I feel like they're trying to build depth. With Caruso and Hartenstein, they're trying to build depth, right?
Yes.
Which is great, but they still one player short. But they gave up one of the most players that had potential in Giddey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm like, why would you make that? I would have definitely made the Hartenstein move, but I don't know if I would have gave up Giddey for Caruso.
Yeah.
I don't, and they're like, well, he plays better defense,
player, but he's a solid player.
Yeah, I was like,
I would have went after maybe a Kuzma or somebody.
Exactly. Like
I got him and Kuzma mixed up.
I just
both of them former Lakers.
Yeah, I just don't feel like with Caruso, like he's not like this guy from the Heat. What's his name? Who got hurt?
Butler.
No, the white guy who got hurt. What's his name?
Bam.
No, the one who Hero. He's not like Hero.
Tyler Hero. Yeah.
Because Caruso is going to give you more depth defense, but he's not what is he like a 30%
bigger player? I think
he's like a 30% shooter, right? Like even
yeah. Hero's
like,
more.
So you
very very good. Somewhat, I still think Hero's more of a streaky shooter there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Like, it's almost like they made it's like when with the Knicks giving up Barrett for OG, it's like, yeah, you got more defense, and Barrett, he's on another team, but it's almost you almost give the skill. You're only trading the skill level. You're not trading anything else, like one skill. Like,
yeah.
So
OG is very young. I didn't realize how young he is.
Yeah, but
hopefully this injury is just something that
the problem
with the pass and he won't be injury prone.
Nah, he's injury prone though. Just like Randall.
Yeah.
Randall's been injury prone since college. Like, and that's the thing. Is like this is not a 40-game season, man. This is all you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Whatever. Like, I'm not gonna get on the Nick bit.
There was another big one there. Now, Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
He's a Dallas Maverick. They did lose. What was that guy's name? I think his name was like Daniel Jones also, or Greg Jones. You know what I'm saying? The guy that was very athletic for Dallas.
Yeah.
And Thunder Dunker. He's not with them, but they did bring in former Golden State Warrior Klay Thompson there to play. I think Klay Thompson is big of a name per se as Klay Thompson is. I do think Klay Thompson is probably like the fifth wheel in that team. What are your thoughts on Dallas's run, man? Potential run.
I feel
adding a veteran like that.
Again, this is like the whole Phoenix Suns, the whole 76ers concept. Let's try to have a big three. Like, the whole big three concept doesn't work if you don't have these guys have been injured.
There's got to be a big three, right?
These guys have been injured. These guys are injury prone. Like Kyrie, this is one of the first years that he's played almost a full season, right?
Yeah.
Luka hasn't been too injury prone, but he plays hurt. So, and we saw that during the playoffs. So
yeah, he'll play through it.
Yeah, he'll play through it. But I think like with a person like Klay, it gives him a little bit of depth. My thing is that who's in front of him.
Will you bring him off to the bench? You mentioned depth. I mean, okay, that's what I'm thinking. At this age, mid-30s, maybe he's more of a six man.
Yeah, and he's a 40% plus shooter. So
Yeah.
he makes his point. He's gonna make his points if you give him the ball, he's gonna make his shots. I'm not against that. I think that actually benefits the Mavericks. The only thing about that is, again, like you said, he's maybe a 6-man off the bench. Who's playing in front of these guys? Who's playing with Kyrie and with Luka that allows this position player coming off the bench, hitting shots at 40% plus to be a benefit for your team, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want would you get, you're paying a lot of money for him, right? 50 mil or something like that.
It's not that much.
It's not much.
He could have got a little more to play for the Lakers.
I don't think the Lakers are going to give any more money.
I mean, the guy's like 34 also. I mean, he's up there.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's just...
He's a shell of himself as well.
Right. So, like, not to take nothing away from what he's been able to accomplish, what he's done, being part of the Splash Brothers, all good and gravy. But you
have 35 in February.
What?
Yeah, him and Paul George about the same age.
Yeah, like, my thing is this, like, and luckily those coaches that they have in those teams, they're not like this guy over here. They're not like Tibbs. They ain't running this team to the ground. But you got to see how you build your team. Now you have pieces, so get in the right pieces. Get in some youth players. Get in some guys that are looking to upgrade their salary and get, give this team a chance. Like, he doesn't solidify a playoff championship position, though. I mean,
they made it to the finals. Here's my suggestion. Looking forward to 24-25. Let's put last season behind us. With the aging of players there on that Dallas team, if it's me, if I'm Jason Kidd and that coaching staff, I'm making this Luka number 1. PJ Washington's the 2 guy.
Right.
He's going to touch the ball second only to Luka. Kyrie's your number 3. Lively should be more involved. He's going to be a second-year player. Then Kyrie, Kyrie would be number 3. Lively, then maybe a Klay Thompson or another player, and bring Klay off the bench. PJ Washington has really proved himself to be a potential number 2 player as far as Luka, depending. I think Kyrie will play his role because he's getting older too, Right. So what do you think about that? Kind of a transition into passing on the torch where it's not Kyrie Luka. It's Luka or Luka Kyrie. It's Luka PJ Washington because he's in his prime.
If I'm Jason Kidd, this is what I would do. PJ Washington and Lively, that's your Carmelo and Stockton.
Yeah.
In a bind, Luka, get him off, get him in, because he plays off the ball better than he does running with the ball in his hand down the court. To be honest with you, he's got
to conserve that energy.
Exactly.
They've got to find another way to use him, or they're never going to get over the hump of Luka.
Right. So I feel like if they can PJ Washington and Lively do the John Stockton thing and Carmelo,
that'd be great.
Them two, then you have Luka coming through, and he could be like LeBron in the third and fourth quarter. But like, okay, guys, I'm gonna run this now. And then you move from there, because the thing is that you have to promote these guys. You have to force them to be better players. And if they don't have the ball in their hands, they're not going to learn how to do that. Luka doesn't have to do that. Luka can shoot. Luka can go in and, make some dinks and dives and do little shots like that. So, at the end of the day, you want Luka to be your Charles Barkley, kind of like, where he's the third player, but
he's a much more talent. They need a guy like a Phil Jackson to run them. I like Kidd, but you really need a poised. I'd love to see a Phil Jackson coached it. Of course, Phil's too old. He wouldn't do it.
Like a triangle. Put
a triangle type of offense in this thing, and then when the money's online, you go to Jordan, you go to Kobe, you go to Shaq.
if you saw back in the day, even with the Bulls, them having Tony Kukoc was like, man, it was like that was a guarantee.
It elevated them,
yes, because Kukoc could run the game, or he could come in as a 3 and just be spotting up, shooting. He played hard enough where he got offensive rebounds. He scored off.
Talk about a guy ahead of his time. He would shine like nobody's business in today's game.
This could be Luka. He could be like a Tony Kukoc if they do the PJ Washington and what's his name?
Kyrie.
Lively. Yeah, and then you still
Yeah,
have.
I got high hopes for Lively, man.
You still have
I hope we
Kyrie.
don't fall off after.
The thing is, they're young and they need the ball in their hands, man. They need to feel confident and that they're going to take the game over. And because those guys, Thompson, Luka, and Kyrie can take the game over at any time because they're type A personalities.
Yeah,
you want Lively and PG Washington to be like them. But if you don't give them the chance to fake it until they make it, they're not gonna get it, right? Yeah. They can't just be here's a ball. Now I'm in trouble. I'm double team. Here's a ball. No, they got to be the ones with the ball, creating things, and then let the guys who are type A personalities take over whenever they're on the court.
Get your alphas, and that's going to be Luka down the stretch here. Tatum signs a massive deal, largest deal in NBA history.
And then
I made the point about. I don't know if he's watched the other night between Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You really can't put a dollar amount on that kind of team chemistry where you had a Klay Thompson in his prime and a Steph Curry back in 2014.
Oh, they put a price tag on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying a lot of people say don't pay these two guys this much money.
Right.
The chemistry with them two is unbelievable. What's your thoughts about Tatum? I'm not mad at him for that.
No,
because of his age and his trajectory, it's hard to argue with paying Tatum that kind of money. It's just the way the market says what he deserves to be paid right now.
And I think both of us have talked about how talented he is, but he needs to step it up and take over the game, like a Kyrie, like a Luka, like a Klay Thompson can in increments, right? Because I can't say Klay Thompson will take over a game all the time, but he can.
Right.
He can shoot. He can get it.
He had his moments during their championship runs.
So, because people be like, "Oh, Klay Thompson." I don't want people to argue with me about Klay Thompson because, whatever. But a thing about Tatum is he's such a great basketball player, and he's deserving of what he's getting. And Brown is deserving of what he's getting, and we finally saw that. We wanted to see that. We were
he gets Finals MVP.
Yeah, we were sitting here and I said to you Dallas looked like the team to beat, because these two guys ain't the potential and the talent ain't being shown, and they finally took it to that level.
Yeah.
Now it could have been a lot better, but it is what it is. And
the ring is theirs now.
Yeah, right. And so we can't dog him now. They got there, and they finally won, and he's getting paid. And deservedly so. But again, consistency. We like to watch basketball. We want to see these guys perform at the highest, and we want to see good basketball. And that's the only thing I hope for this contract. They're not gonna be ranked one of the best Celtics team, and
right.
But they did win. They got a championship. Now what more can you do?
They signed Derek White, who I'm a big fan of. Derek White, he is much smart. I've talked about some of my close, big time Celtic friends on this. He's an upgrade over Marcus Smart. They just did him 4 years.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he's an upgrade from Smart.
He's a better ball handler, and better decision maker.
Maybe better basketball vision because I feel like Smart was more of a spot up shooter.
Yeah.
And but I think Smart was a more consistent shooter than White. But that it's maybe a few percentage points. It's not
I'll have to look that up. That might not be true. Yeah. But you're saying spot up shooter only, not a better overall score.
The Celtics, remember last year, they were started shooting threes, and they were just making threes, and then they'd be up by 25 points to another team. It's slowly the other team would come back, but they depended a lot on the threes. And I told you, remember we talked about this and we discussed this. If Boston goes in this series depending on threes, they're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
Remember
he got the ball. Him and Holiday. Now I don't love the Holiday. They extended a lot of people since I talked to you. I don't love the Holiday contract. He's another guy, 34 years old. I mean, maybe 34 is the new 27 in the NBA.
I don't know, and whether it is or it's not. The Drew Holiday is always a good contract for 2 seasons anyway, right? He's living on
4
that
seasons. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I'm saying, but like, if I was the agent, I'd be like, that's a 2-year guy, right? Because you don't know how he feels. You don't know what's going to happen. You know,
he had to take his agent out to dinner that night.
he got his money. And the bad thing is that teams like
are they the favorite in your eye now because of these extensions? Again, to repeat,
I think they'll be in a mix of the playoffs and they'll be one of the top rated teams. But I don't know if they go to the championship. This Porzingis thing, which I've always been glad that the Knicks got rid of him and even Dallas got rid of him. He ends the season. He had one good game, ends the season. Now he has surgery, and who knows what he's going to be like coming back.
Yes, true.
I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, he was not even going to start the season.
Right. So that's a big hole to try to fill.
Yeah.
Because Porzingis gave you size.
His Horford is so big. He's so long in the tooth. I think he's pushing 39. 38, 39 years old.
So those two guys, I don't know. I know they'll be in the mix, but I don't think. But again,
I think they'll probably be the fact. Then again, I'm still waiting on what happens with Denver, because now Denver's pushing to get maybe a Westbrook to come off the bench. Denver needed another bench player just to give Joker a little bit of a breather there. Just
who
a little
would be
bit.
A great fit for the Denver Nuggets?
Who's that?
Randall.
Yeah, they really need a spot up shooter though.
He thinks he can shoot.
I don't know. They got a lot of size already.
It'd be just get him off the Knicks, man. I would gladly give him away to Denver.
I know you're trying to dump Randall everywhere. What's your thoughts about this Celtic team being for sale? I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation to sell the team. Not like the Lakers, where you're going to have to rebuild in about a year or two.
No,
the Celtics, man. I mean, you got your big time guys locked up for a few years. They're in their prime and coming off a championship. You got a 47-year-old GM. He's my sister's age, close to my sister's. One of my sister's age. Other sister's going to be 50 this year. I'll say which one. Then you've got a very young head coach there. He's growing into the job. Their lease is good for a few years.
Yeah.
They're going to get a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's a historical, it's one of those historical.
It is a name brand, even though it's not the biggest market, right?
Right. So that carries a lot of weight too. I just think if they want to sell the team, but someone like you and I who enjoy sports, man, you just go for you go again, you go with it again. You're not gonna, like you said, they just extended some people, they moved around some pieces.
Yeah.
You're in a good position. Why not try to win another championship and then sell?
Yeah.
Because they're not going to
sell them this year. I mean,
in 2 to 3 seasons, it's not going to be the same conversation at all. That's true.
They're going to have to get a big.
Even if they have Tatum Brown on the last bit of their contracts, it's not going to be the same conversation in the next 2 years. Not at all. So whoever buys this team, you got 2 years, and after that.
But you got a good front office, Brad Stevens has turned out to be a good. If I was him, I would stay in that position, not unless college cleans up their act. But I just don't think. I think he's a better fit he's made some really good moves and get this team over the hump. That Derek White move was huge, man, and then move it off smart like that and getting Holiday.
Yeah, that was to me, that was strange because they went from running gun to slow down and play defense.
Yeah,
that was a change in mentality. I think that they went into, and they did a good transition. It was a smooth transition to take that, because again, they were just running and shooting. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's true, man. I tell you, that team is got an interesting set up there. Let's see. I don't know what else we can touch on right now other than the do you see any major league teams that we're pretty close to the trade deadline? Just off the top of your head that nobody's really been talking about that can make a run at a World Series. It seems like there's somebody that makes a run every year.
Right.
You know? Remember, I thought Seattle may make the World Series, and I know they're playing pretty well.
All this teams that usually at the bottom find a way to the top. Yeah, the Cardinals, the Mets, they're fighting for the last playoff position right now, schedule wise.
Yeah, the Mets are still hot, ain't they?
Yeah, and they did lose yesterday, but they need pitching, so I'm sure they're going to go out there and get somebody that can extend their games a little bit.
Yeah,
they get their pitcher back, Senga back from injury in the next week or two, so that'll help them out a little bit in depth. It's baseball's the way it is. Baseball's crazy, man. It's it's a marathon.
It's getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
And you see a team like the Braves, for example. I mean, they're still in the wild card hunt
because they've had won so many games before.
Yeah,
they have those injuries.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wild card now. And Baltimore. Does Baltimore really make this run to the postseason, or are they just a flash in the pan? Well, they're leading to the East, by the way.
Right, they are leading in the East. I feel that the Baltimore will actually probably win the East, and then the Yankees will come in second. If they don't start winning again, the Yankees need to start winning again. And even though there are a lot of games above some of these other teams in the AL, I think they need to shore up their pitching staff as well.
Really? The Orioles?
No, the Mets. I think the Orioles.
Yeah, the Mets they're only a game and a half. No, I'm
sorry, the Yankees, not the Mets. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Yankees. Yeah, Yankees are way ahead in their wild card. Yeah. I was looking at this now.
And the Yankees just need to I mean, they're ahead, but they need to figure out what they're doing because they're losing. They've lost 11 games in the last 15 or something like that. And, the Red Sox are starting to win some games, and, you don't want them to catch up.
Wow, they're a half game out. Boston, just when you totally write them off.
They come back.
I've been thinking they've been trying to, since they got rid of Mookie Betts, I've been thinking, well, I guess they're just rebuilding,
And I think the two teams you're talking about that are trying to make another stretch run, I think the Royals, they have an opportunity, and the Rangers.
Yeah. What's up with the Rangers? Boy, they got off to a slow start, didn't they?
The Rangers are up and down. One week they're doing great, the next week they're struggling. It's
39 and 47. Didn't they win the World Series last year? I mean, they're kind of in a sense, they're kind of like the Florida Marlins. They'll win the World Series, then you forget they're even in the league sometimes.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're struggling with some pitching. Even their hitting right now, they got some games where it's I don't know, but I think the Royals have a better chance of getting into the playoffs than the Rangers. So because the Royals, I think they're more of a balanced team. They just need to get there's a few games there that they gave up at the end, but it's gonna be after this All-Star break. Yeah, we'll get a better breakdown of what's going on with this, because then you also have guys that are coming back injuries on a few teams. So
Yankees.
After the All-Star break, where you have to start putting your ear to the ground to see what's shaking.
Yeah, I think the trade deadline is around the 31st, ain't it? Yeah. So that's interesting. Anything else to plug, man?
Oh no, right now
you gonna do your baseball show again?
Yeah, I'm off today. I'm gonna try to get some stuff together. I've been trying to get these two guys on the back end to come in and help out with the show a little bit. But if not, I'm gonna do it again. Before the All-Star break, I'll have a show, and then just continuing out from there. I just got out of school schedule, just finished for the kids.
Wow.
Well,
they finished really late.
Yeah, on Wednesday. So it was
last Wednesday was their last day.
Yeah. So I've been catching up with some stuff at home, and just gotta, sometimes you gotta take care of the stuff here before you get on the
Your
show.
kids in private school, or public school?
No, they're in public school.
And so they start back and when? Like right after football season starts in the NFL?
Yeah, like the 10th or 12th or something like that.
September?
Yeah, after Labor Day weekend, yeah.
See, that's my mom when she was a kid here in Tennessee. She said that's when they started back.
Yeah.
So here in Tennessee, we'd start back like probably August the 6th or something.
Yeah, I know.
Which I hated. I wish they did start back later because the traffic is great, man.
Well, the only thing about that was like we get to enjoy summer break a little longer, and then by the time to get back in school, it's starting to cool off. So
that's true.
But it's summer is hot, man. It's hot everywhere. So
woo,
hurricane season in Hilton, so.
Yeah, man. Any thoughts about maybe bringing a Keith Engel on? Well, he really knows baseball.
Yeah, I've been sending Keith information about the young kids playing too much baseball and messing up their arms and why pitching is the way it is this day and age.
What'd he say?
He just thinks that people should pitch until their arm falls off. He don't care. He's like, he got that old school mentality, which is okay. It worked.
Well, I thought a lot of the old school guys, they played more sports. So you kind of let certain muscles rest while you're growing up.
Right.
And now there's so much concentration because the money's so good. The families are getting behind these kids. They're like, that's my meal ticket right there, Yeah,
I was on working with a group. And the kid was like 12 years old and he was throwing like 80 miles an hour already at 12.
Wow.
So they got him. So get this. They did analytics on him for 2 seasons. And him pitching at least 70 pitches, right? So they got this kid projected to pitch about 90 to 92 miles an hour by the time he's 13, 14.
Wow. Maybe another Doc Gooden.
And I'm just looking at these parents like he won't get a Major League Baseball contract at the age of 14. He just won't. Like, so let him be a kid. Let him have fun. Like, Well,
a lot of that has to do with mechanics too. Now you could throw your arm out. Remember Strasburg that plays for used to play with the Nationals.
Right. He just retired, right?
Yeah, well, at elbow.
So
Mark Pryor, does that name ring a bell?
No, there's a lot of guys. And
they spring up. You got to watch it. He's really got to work on his mechanics too, and make sure that he's not. Now he may have good mechanics.
Right.
Maybe his dad played in the pros or semi-pros or something. I don't know.
I don't feel like if you're a little league baseball player, even until you play to high school, like you shouldn't be playing more than 2 seasons of baseball. Like you play your season, your fun league, and then you play your travel, and that's it. But if you play baseball all year round, you're gonna.
In Florida, you hear that, you know, in these warm states, In
fact, the kid that I'm talking about is from this general area, but his family's in Florida, and he plays baseball all year round down there. And I'm like, and he's been doing it since he was 10. And I'm like, you got to put a pause on that, relax, let this kid have fun. You don't want him to get burnt out.
And it can mentally burn out too. That is true, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, brother, for this early edition. You have a happy 4th of July.
Likewise, everybody have fun. If you drink too much, call an Uber, taxi, or a friend. Don't get out down the streets because, right now it's crazy in Nashville anyway, the traffic. So,
woo! Yes, it is, my friend. Yes, it is.
And here in New York, it ain't any better, and it won't get any better. So.
Oh God, yeah! Don't get out in that crazy place and drive.
No.
Appreciate it, man. See you next week.
Enjoy your games, guys.